That big red arrow here on the zoomed out Bitcoin chart on the daily, that is the Bitcoin ETF approvals. January 2024, Bitcoin between $40,000 and $50,000 or so. Right now, Bitcoin at $110,000. Now, this is just one ingredient to the Bitcoin bull market. There are many other ingredients to the adoption and capital and inflows of Bitcoin. But what do you think happens when all of a sudden altcoins, and here's the altcoin market cap, years of compression, years of patience, no bull market just yet. But what happens when the ETFs start flowing? Altcoin ETFs start getting approved. We've already been coiling for a bull market. But what happens when we have all of this capital coming into altcoins? Because this is the new era that we are entering. Hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in. If you're not in our intelligence system, check out the sale we have going on right now. Pinned comment, there is a link, 40% off. And I'm actually going to be using the system a little bit in this video because I want to talk about this Ethereum move. It's putting a smile on my face, everybody. Let's jump into this video. And I really want to start with the big altcoin news. What's going on right now? June 11th, 2025, the summer of 2025. Get ready for a potential altcoin ETF summer with Solana likely leading the way, as well as some basket products via James' note this morning, which includes fresh odds. And by the way, James over here at Bloomberg, fresh odds for all the spot ETFs. So there's that post, and we're actually about to look at that in a moment. But I want to go back a few days. I was talking about this ETF scenario. Check this quick clip out. 2 to 87. This was almost at like 100%. And I just want to say this right now. These, I think, are going to bounce. We are going to see, maybe even in the short term, a bounce here in terms of ETF approval odds. So you see a few days ago, 41% chance of an ETF approval for ADA. And now we're at a 64%. There's the bounce. There's the bounce. And I'll take this a step further. This is just going to continue increasing. I am very confident that altcoins are about to get, not about like right now, but we're about to enter. That door is about to open in terms of altcoin ETF approvals. So to set the tone here, NASDAQ files SEC Form 8K confirming proposal to expand crypto benchmark from 5 to 9 digital assets. I just covered this the other day. This is very important context to everything that is going on. So SEC approving NASDAQ's new crypto settlement price index signals regulatory recognition of strong liquidity and price reliability, clears a major hurdle for altcoin spot ETF approvals, and follows the BTC ETH path. Alt ETFs could be next in under 12 months. So again, I'm not saying like, hey, tomorrow, wait for the headline to drop all these ETF approvals, but we start tracking this story and it is looking like an altcoin ETF summer with Solana likely leading the way is very much in store. Solana ETF just in time for Solana summer. You're going to start seeing these headlines. And by the way, everybody, just Cardano's in the mix here too, and other altcoins are in the mix. I just saw one about SUI. The 21 share SUI ETF has hit a new milestone. NASDAQ has filed a 19B4 form with the SEC to list the spot ETF. This marks the formal beginning of the process. As I'm reading all of this, I'm thinking about the ETF approval for Bitcoin. And it was like January 10th back here. And I was just thinking, Bitcoin fell after the approval on the daily. And just look at that. It's like, oh man, it's all going to fall, right? But so please keep in mind the short-term price action as it relates to even if approvals start dropping, be very careful of. I just want to put that on the radar, not only for you, but for myself as well. Because guess what? Bitcoin ETF got approved and it actually fell until, the third week of January or so, and then it started bouncing. So that's something to keep in mind. So there's the SUI ETF. We're seeing all of these ETFs. And here's the Bloomberg terminal, Bloomberg intelligence area. Bloomberg ETF analysts updated their latest odds of approval for crypto spot ETFs. So these are updated odds. You see Litecoin and Solana leading at 90% odds. And you can just go through all of these altcoins. Cardano's in there, Polkadot, HBAR, Avalanche, there's SUI. And so, and what's cool is it gives you kind of like context across the board in terms of like final SEC deadline. So Cardano you see is October 23rd. And by the way, the baskets index, July 2nd. So this is something on the shorter term radar that we should keep an eye on because this could play big. Now, we do know there is an altcoin that has an ETF. and look at what is going on right now. Major hints, everybody, in terms of all these other altcoins. What could possibly be in store? ETH ETF inflow, $125 million yesterday. BlackRock bought 80,600,000 Ethereum, worth of Ethereum, I should say. And just look at this, straight up accumulation going on the Ethereum ETFs. Ethereum just turned 10, 4 years of growing up, 5 years with US regulatory gun in its head, taking the industry's biggest hits as crypto's top disruptor. Now the barrel's loaded. SEC is a fan of crypto. Don't underestimate how far it can fly. And that's really just a great segue to Ethereum analysis that I want to do in this video. And I'll probably do a longer form video later on today, maybe with some other altcoins as well. But look at this as we do start talking about price action and charts and what Ethereum is doing right now. ETH percentage staked reached 28.64%, indicating long-term conviction in Ethereum. What I wanted to make a note of before we go to the price action is you see this swing to the upside. Well, we saw a similar type of vibe back here. If you look at the date, October 2024, we're just cruising on up to the upside towards the end of last year. What was that signaling? Well, we know what happened towards the end of last year. If we go back here in that moment, here's October, there's November, there's that breakout. What I really want to point out to you on the weekly, you all know I have been just tracking this lower trend line of this massive multi-year triangle. This is something that we've tracked since like back here. We were seeing the breakdown, and I was talking about the potential for the busted pattern, the pullback back to the trend line. It has happened after like a month of resistance, and right now Ethereum is breaking back into the apex. This is a massive move. It definitely deserves more of a single Ethereum video to talk about all of this. But briefly, I want to point that out. But here's the thing. I wanted to bring to your attention what's going on the RSI, the slower moving momentum oscillator. Check this out. We have Ethereum breaking this lower high trend line. If you notice the breakout back here, the big breakout in November or whatever, this was kind of like leading into a lower high move, and then we started falling. This move is different that's happening right now compared to this move back here. In my view, as I'm looking at this chart, it is way more bullish. We're getting a break on this weekly. We want to see how this weekly candle closes. There's still 4 days, 10 hours left. But right now, this is looking quite powerful. We've broken the trend line. We've broken back above all moving averages on the weekly, the 50 most recently, right around the 2600 area, 2700. And if we go to the daily, I wanted to check out our bull bear arena. I just noticed bulls in full control. This is a shorter term momentum indicator. You can see bulls in full control. But what I noticed is on this graph down here, you can see it's been consolidating. And really, this is essentially the consolidation at the lower end of that massive triangle. You see these weekly wicks. Well, on this bull bear arena, that is what that is. That's that resistance. But look at the trend being broken by the bulls. And if you look at when we had that November breakout, there was that sideways consolidation for a while and that trend being broken by the bulls. We are almost like right here. We are almost like right in that beginning of November 2024 move back here, right? In terms of this momentum swing that is happening for the bulls. So we can keep an eye on the daily chart. We keep an eye on the upside that is over here on the daily. But right now, if you notice on the daily on Ethereum, and again, I'm going to do a deeper dive in terms of short-term resistance, short-term support. I'm going to do a deeper dive video on Ethereum because this is the number one chart I've been watching. But notice we are just back in the apex here. So there's going to be a lot to track now at this moment, even on the short term, nine and a half hours or so left of the Ethereum daily candle that's happening, but the momentum swinging to the upside to give you a nice daily visual, very similar to what was happening right around here at this moment of Ethereum, but I would say even more powerfully so. So we can zoom out on an altcoin chart. This is what it looks like. I know a lot of people, a lot of altcoin holders are just waiting and wondering. And I'm just saying, I don't know what will happen. I really don't. Nobody does. But I will say, there are many bullish signals on the macro. And I think this space is just getting started. We now have an SEC that is just paving a clear path for innovation and growth. And that includes inflows and capital like we've never seen flowing into the space, not just Bitcoin, the crypto space. So these are my thoughts today. I appreciate all of you out there. If you're out there and not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Trying to get to that 400,000 mark. We need to turn this thing around. And if you enjoyed the content, please hit that like button. I really appreciate that support. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.